My name is Aaron Smith. I am a 2009 graduate of Roncalli High School. This is my wife, Bronwen. We have been happily married for almost 9 months now. We got married 2 weeks after these two over here, and Kevin and I have been friends for a long time. We both went to Roncalli together, not to steal his intro, but we both went to Roncalli together. We're both involved in drafting together, and that was about it. He was all athletics, I was all not. So we really actually did not become good friends until the end of our senior year, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But after Roncalli, I went out to Washington, D.C., to the Catholic University of America. I went there for 4 years, studied politics and business. And then after I graduated, I stayed. I lived in D.C. for 2 years, and Bronwen and I just recently were able to move back to the Heartland. So we are excited to be back. Bronwen and I, like I said, we've been married for about 9 months at this point. We dated for 3 years before we were engaged. A little funny story about how we met. I have to tell this because when she gets the mic, she would tell you if I did not. She was my boss. So she ran, she was a year older than I was in college, and she ran all of the other student workers in the office. So she likes to think that she's still my boss, but she's not.
Hi, I'm Kevin Banich. This is my wife, Audrey Banich. We are both Roncalli graduates, so rebels in the back. When we were talking about this talk, the four of us had dinner with Brian and Margaret, and we were talking about different things, and I was like, look, you guys can say whatever you want. I got to go back to school with these kids and teach some of them. So, my wife, I graduated from Roncalli in 2009. My wife graduated in 2010. We're not technically high school sweethearts. I liked her in high school. But I went off to college to Ball State University, and when I was a freshman in college, Audrey was a senior, and I had a big crush on her, and so I asked her on a date, and she said no. So I asked her on another date, and she said no. And I was like, third time's a charm. No. And I was like, all right. The fourth time, right? That's the saying, right? The fourth time's a charm, I think. So she finally agreed, and kind of the rest is history. But in our relationship, like I said, I went to Ball State University where I was a social studies education major. My wife went to St. Louis University. So do the math. That's about a 6-hour drive, depending on who's driving. 5 if I'm driving to go out and see her. And so that challenge in our relationship, right from the beginning, I think, caused us to have quite the friendship in our relationship. A lot of you guys are going off to college. People go where their significant other is. I think we lucked out by being 6 hours apart from one another, and it caused a lot of challenges for us, but I think still to this day, we were talking about this on a plane ride back from vacation the other night, it really instilled in us that we just had to be best friends. Like, there was nothing else we could do. It was FaceTime and Skype and text messaging and emails, and it was every way to communicate with one another. Because we were 6 hours apart, we could only see each other about once a month, and so that caused a lot of challenges. But now looking back, it was quite the blessing. It was quite the blessing to be away from one another, to build on our relationship. We dated for 3 years, and then we got engaged on Christmas Eve of 2013. Audrey was mad because I wasn't going on her family carriage ride, and I was like, I'm not going to go. She was mad at me, and I was like, I'm not going because I'm going to propose to you. You just don't know it or not. So anyways, went on that carriage ride, surprised her. We got engaged Christmas Eve, and then we got married this past summer, July 11th, 2015, and the rest has been history. We're kind of veterans. Aaron calls us pretty often and says, what's it like to be married for 2 weeks longer all the time? I'm like, I got all the answers. So.
All right, very good. Your first question is, how did your mentorship and a promise to keep guide your decisions in college?
I'll take the first stab.
Sounds good.
So for me, a promise to keep did many things. You all, your reflections that you gave earlier showed the varying aspects of a promise to keep. For me, I went off to Washington, D.C. I was pretty nervous. Not only was I leaving my friends and family, but I didn't think I had that much of a support system out there. So, going somewhere new, you guys will all go somewhere new, whether it's to IUPUI or somewhere else around the country. And you're going to be in these new places. One of the things that I really got from Promise to Keep, though, was that it made me think about where I stand on drugs, sex, alcohol, before I was put in those situations. So when you go to college, there's going to be a lot of gray areas that you'll, encounter. And so since I had already thought that through, there was no hesitation with me when I was put in a collegiate atmosphere. One of those, as I was speaking to earlier, was Kevin. Even though he went to Ball State, I went to Catholic University, thousands of miles away, I knew that whenever I needed to, I could call or lean on Kevin, and we were able to be a support system for each other, whether that was, talking about college or just life in general. So it really helped me to have that support system. And like I said, whether you have it at college or somewhere else, it's really useful, and that's one thing that I'm really grateful for A Promise to Keep.
Okay, we'll just go back and forth with the guys. For me, Promise to Keep did a big thing for me, and that was it really put a focus on the big picture. I think right now we live in a throwaway culture. It's a hookup culture. It's a throwaway culture. It's a make a decision and then don't worry about the consequences later on in life. And Promise to Keep in high school really put an emphasis on that there was a reward at the end of the journey, and there was a bigger picture to focus on. There was a future spouse for me to think about. It wasn't just a decision, a promise for myself and a promise for God. It was also a promise that I needed to uphold for my future spouse. And so I think that really helped me put a big focus on the big picture, that there are going to be hard days, there's going to be gray days, or gray areas, as Aaron pointed out, but the focus on the big picture. And Aaron and Audrey, both in my life, have been two people that have always helped me focus on the big picture. When things are going good or great, doesn't matter what they're going like, and they are two that always help me focus on it's not about the challenge of today, it's about the reward at the end. Whether it's eternal life, whether it's your future spouse, whether it's the job that you want to get, it's always, there's something that you're trying to achieve at the end of your journey. And so Promise to Keep really helped me focus on the end result versus this culture that we've been kind of put in, that it's just throwaway. Make a decision, throw it away, and that's not what we're called to do. And Promise to Keep really put that in the light about the decisions I'm making for myself, for God, and for my future spouse.
I think Promise to Keep really helped me realize that I needed to be self-accountable. I think somebody said earlier about help me build my conscience of what I believed, what I thought before I did get to college. I went to St. Louis University, which I think only 2 or 3 other Roncalli kids went to St. Louis with me, so I was kind of on my own for the first year, so I really had to think about my goals, my values, what I wanted to do. A lot of my friends in college, they didn't necessarily have the same beliefs that I did, but my friends that I did choose, they really believed and wanted the best for what I wanted for myself. So I really, made sure that the friends, the people around me supported me and my goals. But really just being, self-accountable of knowing what you wanted to do really kind of helped me through college.
So my answer is going to be a little bit different because out of the 4 of us, I did not go through A Promise to Keep. I did not grow up in Indiana. I'm from Rhode Island, so yes, that means I'm a New England Patriots fan.
Boo.
My husband still married me anyway. But my exposure to A Promise to Keep was through Aaron and was through Kevin and was through Audrey. And let me tell you, you are so blessed to have a program like this. It has had even though I did not go through it, it has had such a profound impact on my life. When I met Aaron, I saw how at peace he was and how confident he was in his decisions about his life. And everybody liked Aaron on campus. He was the nice guy. He was the nice kid. If you needed help, you call Aaron. And I was like, how did you get to be that way? We started dating, and I asked him, how did you get to be that way? How did you get to be so confident and so sure in your decisions? He said, well, it was a promise to keep. And he told me all about this program, and that really changed me, and that changed my life and changed my focus on what was important. And he explained this program to me, and it changed our relationship too. The fact that he could lead me and mentor me as to making healthy decisions, as to making the right decisions, and decisions that will bring you so much peace and so much joy. So you're very lucky to be going through this program, because when you go to college, you're going to meet people like me. And I challenge you, don't be afraid to talk to people like me who do not know this program, because you will absolutely change their life, just like all three of these have changed mine.
All right. Next question. How have you lived by example through your college years and now in your careers?
I'll go again. So I guess my advice to you would, and what I found most useful, was to be the leader. You're going to be going to these schools, and they might range in size from a 40,000 student school or a really small school under 1,000. Catholic University was about 3,500 undergrad, 3,500 grad students, so it was a pretty healthy size in Washington D.C. So there's a lot to do, but still a lot of pressure that you would find at any other university. What I found though was that there were other people like me that wanted to make similar decisions, but they just didn't want to be the one to step their foot out and be the one to make that decision. So I would encourage you, when you are in that position, to be the leader and to be the one that steps out. And I promise you that there will be people that follow you, because that was the experience that I had. But you just have to be the one that's willing to, step out and be that leader.
For me, my college experience was a little bit different than these three. They all went to private Catholic universities. For me, I went to Ball State, so for all of you that are thinking about Ball State, chirp, chirp, good decisions out there. I went to Ball State, and I did potluck roommate. You just draw a name out of a hat. It was a kid from Batesville. He was like a Christmas tree farmer. It was weird. He was awesome, but all of my friends in college, they had never gone through private Catholic education. And for me, one of the things I learned in college pretty quickly was that it was okay to be around people of different faiths, different ideas, different desires in life. But what I realized was that I had to be honest with myself. When I interacted with people, whether it was on the weekend or during the school day, and they asked me about who I was, what I did, if I was honest and open with them, if I was honest and open with myself, they then accepted me for who I was. They knew quickly that I had this awesome girlfriend that was 6 hours away from me. They knew that every weekend I wanted to go to church. They didn't necessarily want to do that, but they knew that that's what I was going to do, and they just accepted me for who I was because I accepted myself and the desires that I had. It also helped to have an Aaron. Aaron was always a phone call away. Even though he was out at Catholic University of America, it was nice to always have somebody to talk to about the challenges that we were going through in college. So it was being an example of being honest with myself, being honest with those around me, and then having the support system, even though they were thousands of miles away from me, to help me always be honest with myself anytime I came into interaction with somebody new. So that was a big deal for me in college.
I think when I was in your guys' shoes just before, going to college, I struggled with the idea that being a leader, I guess. I'm a very introverted person. Public speaking, I've been thinking about this for weeks. It's got me very anxious. So getting up in front of a large group of people, talking and telling them my beliefs, it's a struggle for me just being an introverted person. So through college, I think I realized that you can lead people through example and just by your actions. At college, I was involved in a Christian life community, kind of like a small group. that the Jesuits put on at St. Louis University. So, weekly we met with each other, talked about our lives, our relationships, different things like that. So that really helped me. And then also I was a Eucharistic minister. So a lot of people, not a lot of my friends, went to church with me every week, but that was something that made me accountable of going to church. And so them seeing me, go to church every week kind of made them more accountable and was kind of a way to lead people. You don't have to get in front of a big group and preach your beliefs, but just kind of lead through example.
They say it takes a village to raise a child, and after many years of dating and engagement and marriage, I think I've learned that it takes a community to make a marriage and a relationship. So for me, to answer this question, I surrounded myself with holy men and holy women that would keep me accountable and help me live by example. I met Aaron, and I was also blessed with a very good core group of very holy women at Catholic University who had strong morals and strong values and challenged me to live a holy lifestyle. And I think who you surround yourself by is going to have a dramatic effect on your whole life. And you can be those people, you can be those holy men and those holy women for people out there who are looking for that example. So I think it's very important to keep that in mind as you guys, the seniors here are going off to college.
Okay, for this third question, I think we have to change the audio or visual, not so much audio. Oh, that's so nice. It's your picture of your wedding days. That's so great. I remember my own wedding day. I'll never forget it. And so I held my wife's pretty hands and looked straight in her eye, and I said to her, "Yes, dear, you are in charge." I remember that. It was very joyous. Looking back at photos from your wedding day, could you please speak to the joy of that day and the days that have followed? And remember, your wives are right next to you.
So I think for all four of us, those pictures kind of tell the story. It truly is something that you can't understand until you're in it. When we were having dinner the other week with Margaret, I said it's so weird how in such a short time you start thinking as one person. And that really is so true. People would tell me that before, and I never really understood it until we were in it. The one thing that I really love about this picture of us on the right is you can see all the people around us. So this is us exiting the tent where we had our rehearsal, going to the car. And so we are racing through everybody outside. And what I really love with all those people in the picture is it shows our support system. So Bronwen and I have, like I said, we've been married for almost 9 months, and it has been fantastic. But we have gone through a lot in those 9 months. Like I said earlier, we have just moved from Washington, D.C. For the past few months, we've been looking for a house. We've been living with my parents. We've been looking for a car. And that's a lot to go through and a lot of change to go through. And so what I love most about that is the support system that has been there for us. Through the good, through the bad, we have had a solid support system. And not only that, but it really is a partnership. It makes life's challenges that much easier when you do have somebody that you're married to go through all that with. So it's more of an adventure rather than hardship. So that is what I love most about the joy in that picture.
My goal is to not cry here. We're going to give this my best shot. So, yeah, all the students back there are like, oh, Mr. Banich actually has a heart. All right. So, for those of you that know me as either Mr. Banich or Coach Banich, I think you guys know, or if you just seen me up here, I'm like pacing back and forth. I don't drink Mountain Dew, but it's like it runs through my veins. I'm just all the time jacked up on Mountain Dew. So, for me, I'm a pretty anxious person. I'm passionate, I'm energetic, and I'm just like type A, go, go, go all the time. And because of that, I told my wife when we were planning our wedding, I'm like, I don't care about anything as long as I don't have to wait until 2 o'clock to see you because I'll just pass out. And so we have to see each other before the wedding. And so this is a picture of our first look at the Conrad. They took us up to this cool place on top of the Conrad, and we were able to see each other. And we just kind of had a moment early in the morning on our wedding day. And it was in that moment at the Conrad where there's so much chaos going on in the day. She's worried about hair and nails. I'm worried about making sure my brother doesn't lose the ring. My groomsmen aren't doing anything dumb, things like that. And so for me in that moment when I saw her, I was standing looking out these windows over Indianapolis, and she came and tapped me on the shoulder. In the video of it, I'm just like bawling, crying, and she's just the happiest person in the world. And for me, it's the one word that comes to mind is like, she's home to me. She's home that when I'm like this, when I'm all jacked up, when I'm nervous, when I'm anxious, she is home. I was anxious that day. I'd been crying 10 minutes before that. And when I was with her, it was just like everything went away. She was home. And I spoke earlier about the big picture in life. And to me, like, this is home. Like, you finished the race. You've completed what you were called to do here at Promise to Keep. And for me, whether it's coming home from a stressful day of work, maybe something bad happened at school, whatever it might be, or whatever life challenges we're going through, to me, it's like every night I get to come home to her, and she's my home. We have a home, but to me, she is my home. She's my better half, and so for me, it's hard to describe, but when you come home from a bad day and you just get to be with truly your best friend, what we built our relationship on, our friendship, that to me is the most calming thing in the entire world, is to just be with my best friend every single day. And so for the joy to me, it's not joy like woohoo, it's joy like I get to be at ease with myself, with my life, and so that to me, that's the picture. That's me being at home. So.
What comes to mind for me in this moment, it's kind of hard to describe just how much joy you can get from a relationship like this. I mean, in this moment on your wedding day, when the both of you can say, I have freely given of myself completely to you with no expectations. In that moment, if you can freely say that, that is the most joy that you will ever experience in your entire life. Because the question we should be asking ourselves is, well, what will bring us the most joy? What choices in my life will bring us the most joy? And in that moment, I never expected to know just how much joy and peace and comfort you can actually have in a relationship. Because at this moment, God is giving us a taste of just how much He loves us. Unconditional grace, unconditional forgiveness, unconditional hope, unconditional love. And that's the joy of this type of relationship. That's the joy of a relationship living through a promise to keep morals. And I promise you that joy will come, if you are living this healthy lifestyle, if you are making these decisions, and if you are keeping up with what a promise to keep has taught you.
So Kevin stole all of the lines that I wrote down for myself. So not necessarily regarding this picture, but just our wedding in general. One moment that really stuck with me was, after we did our vows and we did the whole marriage thing, we were sitting up on the altar and we just kind of looked at each other and then looked out on the crowd and look at all the people that are, here for our wedding, for the party afterwards, but also that we're here to help celebrate our marriage, and our life was very reassuring, and it was really cool to see, and it kind of reminded us of all the people that have helped us in the journey to become together and build our relationship. So
All right, a big round of applause to your speakers for today. Big round of applause.